Hey, are you ready for this? We're going deep on Taylor Swift today.
Right.
You sent over a whole bunch of stuff, articles, bios, even some pretty hardcore deep dive analyses.
Wow.
So it's clear that you're interested in more than just the hits, right? Like you want to understand her impact, her evolution as an artist.
You really want to get a sense of her whole story.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I think what's really cool about Taylor Swift's career is that it gives us this incredible window into how the music industry works. We can trace her journey and how she fought for creative control and basically how she became this master storyteller.
Okay, so let's rewind all the way back to the beginning. Christmas Tree Farm in Pennsylvania.
Right.
Not your typical pop star origin story, is it?
Not at all.
No.
It's interesting to think about that contrast, like rural upbringing versus global icon.
Yeah.
And she was writing songs when she was really young.
Right.
And then, boom, her family makes this huge move to Nashville when she's just 14.
Wow.
Talk about dedication.
That's a huge leap of faith for her whole family.
Yeah.
You know, not just for her.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, uprooting your life, going all in on her passion.
Yeah.
Did that, like, shape how she approached her music?
It's certainly possible.
Yeah.
And it paid off because just a few years later, she lands a deal with Big Machine Records.
Wow.
She's only 15 at the time.
That's crazy.
Which is basically unheard of.
Okay, so Nashville record deal,
Yeah.
she's on the path. But what was it about those early songs that really connected with people? Because she blew up fast.
It was her ability to tap into like these really universal emotions.
Oh, okay.
You know, she wrote about things that were very personal to her.
Yeah.
Heartbreak, first love, awkward teenage years in a way that felt super relatable, especially for young listeners.
I can imagine. And those early hits, Tim McGraw, Our Song,
oh, yeah.
they weren't just catchy tunes, they were stories.
Right.
It's like you could picture the scenes playing out in your head.
Exactly. She was already showing those storytelling skills.
Right.
That would really become a huge part of her career later on. And she was smart about it, too.
Okay.
The songs were huge on country radio, which gave her a strong foundation.
Yeah.
But even then, you could tell that there was something more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like there was potential to go way beyond country music.
And that's where 1989 comes in.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a pop album. It was a statement.
Totally.
It felt like she was saying, like, I'm evolving. I'm not afraid to experiment. And I'm taking you with me.
I love that.
Yeah.
It was a defining moment for her because she could have stayed in country music and continued to be successful.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But she chose to push the boundaries to evolve her sound while still being true to herself in her songwriting.
Yeah.
And it really paid off big time. Becoming the first woman to win Album of the Year twice at the Grammys.
Wow.
That's not just about popularity.
Right.
It's about critical acclaim and recognition from the industry.
Okay, so she's gone from country darling to global pop star.
Yeah.
But she didn't stop there.
Yep.
Reputation, Lover, Folklore, Evermore.
Right.
Each album felt like a new chapter, a new exploration of her sound and her storytelling.
It's like she's writing this musical autobiography and it's unfolding right in front of us.
Wow.
And it's so interesting how she uses these albums to explore different parts of who she is.
Yeah.
Love, loss, fame, even public scrutiny.
Yeah.
It's a bold move for an artist to be that open and vulnerable with their audience.
And speaking of bold moves.
Yes.
Let's talk about the Masters situation.
Okay.
This is a turning point, not just for her, but for the music industry as a whole.
Absolutely.
You know, most people hear master recordings and their eyes glaze over.
Yeah, right? They're like, what is that?
Yeah. Can you break down why it mattered so much?
Of course. So basically, master recordings are the original definitive versions of a song.
Okay.
Whoever owns them gets to control how those recordings are used, how they're shared, and most importantly, who makes money from them. Oh, wow.
So for Taylor, it wasn't just about the money.
Right.
Imagine putting your heart and soul into your work, and then somebody else comes in and says it's theirs.
Yeah.
And that they get to profit from your creativity without your permission.
That's gotta be tough.
It's rough.
Yeah.
It's really about creative control and ownership.
So it became very personal for her.
It did. And instead of just accepting it, she took action.
Yeah.
Her choice to re-record all those early albums and release them as Taylor's version.
Wow.
That was unheard of.
Yeah.
She basically created competition for her own music.
What?
It was risky,
I bet.
but it sent a message to other artists.
What's that?
That they can and should fight for their work.
And it wasn't just symbolic, right? Like it had a real world impact.
Absolutely. JoJo, Def Leppard, A bunch of other artists followed in her footsteps,
Wow.
and they re-recorded their music to get back control.
That's amazing.
And even though we can't say for sure that it was all because of Taylor, her actions definitely changed the conversation.
About artists' rights and owning their masters,
Yeah.
it made the industry pay attention.
Wow. So she's a musical innovator, a businesswoman, and a champion for artist rights. And she's not even 40 yet.
I know, it's amazing.
It's getting good.
Yeah.
What else have you got for me?
It's pretty remarkable, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
How she's managed to achieve all this.
Yeah?
And still stay true to her artistry. Speaking of artistry, you sent over some really fascinating material about the literary and cultural references she puts in her music.
Oh, yeah.
It's clear you're really interested in storytelling, so I think you'll find this next part really cool.
Okay, I'm ready.
Ah,
Let's dive into the specifics.
right?
You mentioned the Great Gatsby connection with This Is Why We Can't Have Nice Things.
Right.
How deep does that go?
It's more than just like a surface level reference.
Okay.
You really have to think about the themes in Gatsby. Decadence, disillusionment, the allure of wealth, and the danger that comes with it.
Okay.
All those same themes are right there in the song. The lyrics about these lavish parties,
Right.
the feeling of betrayal, the sense that something beautiful has been corrupted.
Yeah.
It's like she took the essence of Gatsby and made it into a modern pop song.
So she's not just name-dropping a book title.
Right.
She's drawing inspiration from, like, the themes, the atmosphere, the emotions of the story.
Exactly.
That's so cool.
And if you listen closely to the music,
Yeah.
there are even these little sonic cues that kind of remind you of the jazz age.
Really?
Yeah. A little bit of melancholy, a sense of grandeur.
Oh, wow.
It's like she's creating this sonic world
Yeah.
that fits perfectly with the lyrics.
Okay, that's one example. What other literary gems did you uncover?
Well, you said you were a fan of All Too Well, 10-minute version.
Of course.
That's like a textbook example of how she takes songwriting
Yeah.
and makes it almost like literature.
Okay.
People always say it's one of her best songs.
It really is.
And there's a good reason for that.
It's epic.
The imagery is so strong.
Right.
The way the emotions build is so powerful. Yeah. It's like you're right there with her going through this heartbreak.
Yeah.
It's almost like a novella, but with music.
Yeah.
It has a beginning, rising, action, climax, resolution.
Uh-huh.
You've got all these details,
Right.
these really personal moments, these painful realizations.
Yeah.
It's all there.
It's like she's writing a short story, but using melody and rhythm instead of words.
That's a great way to put it.
Makes you wonder if she ever thought about writing actual fiction.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Right.
She's clearly a gifted storyteller, no matter what medium she's using.
Yeah.
And this goes back to something we talked about before.
What's that?
Her ability to connect with audiences on such a deep level by putting these literary and cultural references in her music.
Yeah.
She's creating all these layers of meaning and inviting her listeners to really think about her music.
Yeah.
Not just on an emotional level, but on an intellectual level too.
Okay, so we've covered the storytelling aspect. Now, you also sent some things over about her advocacy work.
Right.
I'm really curious about that side of her.
Okay.
How she uses her platform to speak out about things she cares about.
Uh-huh.
Because let's be real, not every celebrity wants to do that,
That's true.
especially about controversial issues.
Yeah, that's what makes her so compelling.
Yeah,
She doesn't shy away from using her voice,
right.
even if it means she might get some negative feedback or lose some fans.
So where do we start? What are some of the big causes she's championed?
Well, her support for the LGBTQ plus community has been really strong and consistent.
Oh, yeah.
She's been a big ally for years,
Right.
speaking out against discrimination, donating to organizations, encouraging her fans to get involved.
I remember that open letter she wrote to the Tennessee legislature
Oh, yeah.
opposing that anti-LGBTQ plus legislation.
Right.
That was huge. It showed she wasn't just talking the talk.
Right.
She was putting her name and her influence on the line.
He was a really powerful moment.
It was. And it had this ripple effect. It brought national attention to the issue.
Yeah.
Started conversations, even inspired other celebrities to speak out.
That's right.
It really showed how much impact a big star can have
Yeah.
when they use their platform for good.
Absolutely.
And it wasn't just a one-time thing either.
Nope.
She's included pro-equality messages in her music videos.
Yeah.
Talked about the importance of voting for pro-LGBTQ plus candidates.
Right.
Even used her acceptance speeches to advocate for equality. It's clear that this is something she's really passionate about.
It is. And it's not just about words.
Right.
It's about actions, too.
Yeah.
She's backed up her words with donations to places like GLAD and the Human Rights Campaign.
Wow.
Showing that she's really committed to making a difference.
It's amazing to think about the impact she's had on so many young people who might be struggling with their own identities.
Right.
And then they see someone like her, this global superstar, standing up for them saying, you are loved, you are valid, you deserve equality.
That's powerful.
That is powerful. And her advocacy goes beyond just LGBTQ plus rights.
Oh, for sure.
You mentioned her work with disaster relief efforts.
Yes.
And that's another example of how she goes above and beyond.
Right.
After Hurricane Harvey hit Texas, she donated a lot of money. Yeah. But she also used her platform to raise awareness.
Right.
Encourage people to donate.
Yeah.
She even visited affected areas to offer her support.
It's that combination of action and advocacy that makes what she does so impactful. It's not just about charity. It's about using her influence to help those in need.
Right.
And inspire others to get involved.
Okay, so we've got the literary influences, the activism. She's clearly more than just a pop star. She's using her platform to make a real difference. What else should we talk about in this part of the deep dive?
Well, there's one more thing that I think connects back to why she's so popular with her fans. It's not just the music or the activism.
Right.
It's how she presents herself to the public.
That's true. She's been in the spotlight for almost 20 years.
I know.
It hasn't always been easy.
Definitely not.
Public feuds, intense media scrutiny, that whole battle for her master recordings.
Right.
And through all of that, she's managed to stay graceful, resilient, and authentic.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It is.
She's made mistakes. She's been criticized. She's had her fair share of controversies.
Yeah.
But she always handles herself with such maturity and composure. It's rare to see that.
Yeah.
Especially in someone so young and famous.
She's also been very open about her struggles,
Yeah.
her anxieties, her vulnerabilities.
Right.
And people really connect with that.
They do.
It makes her feel more human, more relatable.
Yeah.
It's like she's saying, it's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to struggle. It's okay to make mistakes.
Right.
What matters is how you learn and grow.
Exactly. She's not afraid to show her flaws, to admit when she's wrong, to apologize when she needs to.
Right.
It's so refreshing.
It is.
Especially in a world where so many famous people seem obsessed with looking perfect.
Totally. It's like she's giving everyone permission
Yeah.
to just be themselves, to embrace their imperfections, and focus on growing as a person instead of trying to be this perfect ideal.
And that's a really powerful message, especially for her young fans who are still figuring things out,
Right.
trying to navigate life and relationships and who they are.
So to sum up this part of our deep dive,
Okay.
we've seen how she's taken literary references and made them part of her music,
Right.
basically taking songwriting to a whole new level.
Yeah.
We've looked at her commitment to activism, especially for LGBTQ plus rights and disaster relief,
Yeah.
showing how much of an impact a big star can have when they use their platform for good.
It's true.
And we talk about how she deals with the challenges of fame with grace, resilience, and authenticity,
Yes.
setting a great example of personal growth and self-acceptance.
It's quite impressive when you think about all she's done. Oh, yeah.
And we're not finished yet.
Ooh, exciting.
In part 3, we're going to zoom out and think about the bigger picture of her career.
Okay.
What does her success say about how the music industry is changing?
Yeah.
What can we learn from her approach to storytelling and connecting with people? And what will her legacy ultimately be?
Okay, we're back for the final part of our Taylor Swift deep dive.
Here we go.
It's been a wild ride.
It has.
We've gone from Christmas tree farms to sold-out stadiums,
Yeah.
country darling to global pop icon, master recordings to powerful advocacy.
It's a lot.
It's a lot to process.
But it shows you how much of an impact she's had.
Right.
She's not just a musician. She's a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah, and I think this last part is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Zooming out to look at her career in the context of the whole music industry.
The big picture.
Yeah, big picture time.
All right.
When Taylor first came onto the scene, the music industry was a lot different than it is now.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It was the era of record labels calling all the shots.
Right.
Controlling everything from distribution to the artist's image.
Artists didn't have a lot of power back then.
Right. They were at the mercy of these huge labels.
Basically.
They had to play by the rules, sign contracts that might not be good for them.
Yeah.
And just hope they got a decent share of the profits.
It was tough.
And then Taylor comes along and kind of changes the game.
She really did.
It wasn't overnight, but she slowly gained more control over her career, her music, her story, that fight for her masters.
Right.
That was a big turning point.
It was. It challenged the way the industry worked.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just about her.
Right.
It showed other artists that they could fight for their creative ownership.
And their financial rights.
Exactly.
And she didn't just talk about it.
Nope.
She actually did it.
She took action.
Re-recording those albums.
Uh-huh.
That was a bold move.
It was. And it had a ripple effect.
Other artists started doing the same thing, taking back their music.
Exactly. It changed the whole conversation about master recordings.
Yeah.
And even though it's still a complicated issue,
Right.
what Taylor did definitely gave other artists the courage to negotiate better deals,
Yeah.
to demand more control over their work. It forced the industry to start taking artists' rights seriously.
So she's not just making music, she's changing the industry.
Yeah.
And all of this is happening as the music industry is changing so rapidly.
Right.
Streaming services have disrupted everything. Physical album sales are way down.
It's a totally different world now.
It is. And it's amazing how Taylor has not just adapted to these changes,
Yeah.
but she's thrived.
She's incredible.
She's embraced streaming, experimented with different release strategies, found new ways to connect with her fans,
Right.
which brings us to another key to her success storytelling.
Ah, storytelling.
Even with all the technology changes, all the industry chaos,
Yeah.
the power of a good story, a song that moves you that never goes away.
It's timeless.
And Taylor is a master storyteller through her music.
She really is.
She's created this huge overarching narrative across her albums, exploring themes of love loss, heartbreak, growth, resilience.
Yeah.
She's not afraid to be vulnerable, to share her personal experiences,
Even the tough ones.
even the messy ones.
Right.
And that authenticity is what connects with people.
It does.
She's not thinking about generic love. She's inviting you into her world, her emotions. It's like you're going through those experiences with her.
That's such a good way to describe it.
And that level of closeness creates a really strong bond with her fans.
Absolutely.
It's not a coincidence that the Swifties are so dedicated, so passionate.
They're incredible.
They feel seen and heard by her music.
Yeah.
They connect with her on a really personal level.
Right.
Which leads to the big question,
Okay.
what will her legacy be?
This is a good question.
She's already done so much.
Yeah.
How will she be remembered, not just as a musician, but as a cultural icon?
It's hard to say for sure. But I think she'll be remembered as a pioneer.
Okay.
Someone who changed what it means to be a successful artist in the 21st century. She's proven that you can be a huge global superstar
All right.
and still be an independent artist who's in control of her own story.
She's also shown that artists can use their influence for good,
Yes.
to support causes they believe in, to inspire positive change.
And she's done it all while staying true to herself,
Right.
evolving her sound and always pushing the boundaries.
Yeah. She's never been content to just sit back and relax.
Right.
She's always looking to grow, to experiment, to challenge herself. So as we wrap up this deep dive in Taylor Swift, I'm honestly in awe.
Yeah.
It's been incredible to explore her career, her artistry, her impact.
It really has.
And you know what?
Right.
I think you're going to come away from this with a whole new appreciation for Taylor,
I hope so.
because her story is a testament to the power of being yourself, of resilience and creative vision.
Absolutely.
She's shown that you can achieve incredible things when you stay true to who you are,
Right.
fight for what you believe in, and never stop growing.
Well said.
Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
It was my pleasure.